time and space to the me I want to be. A letter to myself from the me I am in this time and space to the me I want to be in my own tomorrow. Dear me, I am writing to say that I am finally ready to join you in our future. It has taken me so long to disembark because packing your bags for life is no easy task. At first, I let me pack things we do not need. A duffel for my uncle's niece, carry-on for my lover's lady, trunk for my parents' daughter, Pullman for my sibling's sister, all more than we can carry. And as I both know, whatever the means of transport, there is always a cost for excess baggage. After reconsidering necessity, I decreased the load to one backpack. At any rate, I'm headed our way. Take care. I'll be you when I get there.
Peace and love, family. Greetings. I'm Brother Yusiku Ill, and welcome to our Full Moon Festival with Sister Satomi. Sister Satomi, are you there?
I really am. How are you this evening?
Welcome. I'm wonderful. Welcome. Yeah, enjoy. I don't know if the family got out, but if you get out, that moon is so big and bright, you know, you can't help but connect to it. You know what I mean?
Isn't it amazing?
It's so beautiful and bright.
Oh my goodness, as we were just driving home, I tried to let the picture as we were moving, but it's powerful out there. Yeah.
Yes, it is.
For sure. Yeah. So we're gonna open the gates to this little journey this evening. I'm pretty excited about it. We're gonna try and keep going, but thank you. You know, I'm always ready to hear about the That's wonderful. All right.
Yeah.
So here we go. This is a beautiful prayer song from our sister Kay out of the Art of Mentoring program in Ontario, Canada. And we always try to speak to the lineage of it. And while we do have a recorded version of it, it seemed very strong that the ancestors and spirits holding up the support of this evening's conversation ask that we really bring it, you know, from our own voice and our own heart. And we're going to just tell you truthfully that while we've been singing it for a while, it's so emotional for us that we're going to make our way through it. And, you know, as those of you that follow us on Facebook just saw, you know, Grammy just all smiles with her great-grandson at Thanksgiving dinner, that it is more personal. It's so, sometimes songs are so personal. So here's this one. I am a human mother. My son, he loves to dance. Rhythms flow through his mind and his body, and it flows through his feet and his hands. My hope as a human mother is that he always remembers to dance by the rhythms that flow through his mind and his body and his soul and his hands, by the bones of his great-grandfathers and the bones of his great-grandmothers and the souls of the earth. My son will one day be a great-grandfather. He was a great-grandfather on the day of his birth. Let it be, let it be, let it be. Let it be, let it be, let it be. I am a human mother, just as I am a daughter, and a granddaughter, just as I am a great-granddaughter, so too am I. A mother of great-grandfathers, so too I am a mother of great-grandfathers. So too I am a mother of future elders. I am a mother of elders. I am. Let it be, let it be, let it be. Let it be, let it be, let it be. I thank you for entering into that prayer. It wasn't easy, but sometimes Spirit asks us to do the things that aren't easy. And yet, as we concluded powerfully the first CD of our teaching series soon to come, seasons such as this, and we said at the beginning of that where the song will play, and it'll really play, and you'll get to hear it from many voices in Canada that are singing it quite to its own tune, and its prayer and the heartbeat. Everyone's creating in the heartbeat with their own heart or a drum. It's so beautiful. But we did say that the very idea of a song like that you live to see your children's children's children, and you begin to even only get a peek at the understanding of the generational relationship that we have with one another as souls, to be daughters, granddaughters, great-granddaughters, grandsons, and so forth and so on. So we put that prayer out there for all of the many generations that brought us to this day, that brought everyone that is joining us to listen this day, and all of the ancestors present. Doye, and this is just where we wanted to be in the conclusion of it. Yes, it was a great feast day, and we eat food and play spades and do shots with the young people of 1800. I can't believe they got me to do that, but I asked them to listen in tonight. I said, no, sometimes when those who used to sit at the Thanksgiving table with us are no longer here, they might ask us to remember them with libation, and we do, but it will not deter where we are or what the journey is this evening. It's a really, really good journey. I can feel it already. Certainly with the full moon in Gemini, we have Hood Mystic on board, and we also, by this morning, you never know, you just have to go moment to moment and be very present. We invited one of our dearest friends that just had such a major evolution and revolution and revelation within this season that we come to this day where we celebrate families and food and culture and togetherness, hopefully, and that hearts come to hearts, and we just realize how blessed we are to have that all day long. And when we get a minute, we've been posting for us to remember those that are blessed to be in the communion or at the evening dinner tables, to certainly remember those who don't even have a table, let alone the food to put on it. The many families that are displaced by the fires out west, and families displaced at the borders by whatever, children who seek to just remember what their parents looked like from maybe this time last year, that are being served by strangers today, if they're served at all. So these are the things that we bring into the top of the hour, not to not to bring us down, but to say that, as the Yoruba say, there's no good without bad. In order to be in this Gemini duality and to really go deep into it, yes, we can be in the goodness and the light of all of our blessings, and still we have to hold that space for those struggling so hard at this very hour to find their light at the end of the tunnel. And so we send those prayers out for them this evening. We wanted to just open the show a little bit before we go to my friend Bill Paravano, who will be coming in to join us, to Season of the Raven. We definitely thought it would be very, very auspicious to to kind of put that out front. Season of the Raven is it's kind of a temple sacred space that we've done maybe the last 2 or 3 years with various persons in the communities, friends, allies, people that maybe we even just met in a class or two out in the woods around a campfire. And weekly, we would go every week, maybe the last 6 weeks of the year or the last 8 weeks of the year, just to really collect ourselves in terms of what's really gone on. Okay, what's really gone on for us outside of us, and certainly internally, and how are we navigating this vibration of a whole year that's gone out, and then here comes a new one. Here comes another whole vibration that we could only dream and vision and set our intentions about. So that particular gathering begins Tuesday coming, and we'll be right here in the Ring the Stone Network, and we wanted to be sure to invite you in. And the commitment at this point, and really has always been, is that you could come, for a week, any week out of the weeks from here till the end of the year, or you could come for all 6 Tuesday nights from 9 to 11, and really just make a real good assessment is what it's about. Make a personal evaluation about what's happening inside in your outside world, and how those two things are coming into balance. And again, we feel like we have a real good passage this evening. Not even having heard Hood Mystic's Gemini Moon full report yet. He's kind of held out on us. We thought we had it up on Facebook, but we didn't get to listen to it yet. Still, we know the type of diviner and stargazer that the mystic is. So whatever is up for you, I'm sure that in his journey through the planets and the celestial beings with us this evening, we'll be able to point out some key things that could be helpful in this deep period of navigation as we go into winter, as Yoruba go into the season of Abaluaye, the planet of Saturn, and our restrictions, our limitations, our challenges. Weather is definitely a factor. Weather is definitely a factor moving forward. And weather is not the only thing. With weather, of course, comes how to sustain our food, how to sustain heat in the house, how to keep ourselves well and not falling prey to flu or illnesses or runny noses that other people have. So that being said, we hope and trust that, if that calls out to you or rings out to you to say, well, maybe I'm going to check it out, or either I'm going to go to the Facebook page. We have the Classroom Collective, where the whole listing of kind of the subject matter of each of those particular Tuesday evenings is outlined. And you certainly could check it out and see if that appeals to you. And as we said at the beginning, we're really excited. Shango Wumiola Bintan, who we give great gratitude to on this day, as our engineer has really, really worked with us all week, not only on musical inserts that will come in tonight, hopefully, but to help us finish. Our CD, our first CD in the series of seasons such as this. So that makes that all the more exciting when we take Mama Loja's Trading Post out to the flea market here outside of Augusta this weekend. while I'm sure hordes of people are in the malls and in their Black Friday mania, that we would just have our, the gifts and the unique items and things that we've made by hand, and we will certainly have a CD of songs and prayers and chants and teachings. And so that too really have brought a great joy to my ancestors. So I believe that Bill's number is a 501, I want to say, a 501 number, and I think I'm kind of reliant on you, Baba, to bring Bill Paravano in as we enter into conversation with him. Those of you that are listening, you have to bear with us. Alegba is really retrograde. Mercury is certainly retrograde. And so if Bill hasn't been able to come in by pressing 1, which should be each of your option, if you call in to 323-870-3401, and then the custom is to press 1. But if we see your number hanging out there, one of 2 possible engineers would be able to call your phone number from the board and then catch you in that way. It's very interesting how spirit is and what it can do and what it moves and allows or doesn't allow. Is Bill available? Is he available? Bill, are you there? I don't hear you. But there you are. Wonderful, Bill. Wonderful. Excellent.
Hi there.
Hi there. How are you?
Good. How are you?
I have had a very full day, but somehow I seem to be in this wonderful, Baba was saying at the beginning of the show, and of course riding back from in town from family for the dinner where I spoke to you earlier. Help but be under this amazing full moon. Have you been out in it this evening?
I'm out in it right now.
There you have it. And it is pretty special, isn't it, Bill?
Yep.
Yes. Well, I could introduce you or you could introduce you because this is an interesting situation. There's a couple of just as you were coming on, spoken a little bit about Season of the Raven. Maybe that would be a good place to begin, as you have participated in it. We talked about, parts of the community, different members that come together in, used to be a conference room on the phone, but this year, starting next Tuesday, it'll be right here in Ringing Stone. And we were talking about the things that we have surmounted. I loved it. I got the Crown of Magi card this week, and it said certain rewards were coming now because the challenges that were in front of me this year, I had met and surmounted them. And this morning, very early, when you and I were in conversation, which we are from time to time, and I was saying for various levels of coaching and kind of one-on-one, and then that we are great friends. There's that, and that I have a granddaughter and you have a daughter that are friends. And so there's all the parts of that. But I think I would like you to begin by speaking to how and why you even came to know me, and maybe then eventually you work your way to the evolutions of the iceberg that you identified this morning. It so captured me that I invited you here to speak on behalf of... Yeah, it really did. I said, well, that part of it for so many people that stay stuck, and they stay stuck, they can't figure out the mechanics of getting unstuck. However you articulated it to me first thing this morning, Bill, I thought it should be shared.
Well, we met, it has to be coming up on close to 5 years now. And that was at one of the primitive skills gatherings. in Georgia. And I don't recall whether it was someone who had said, you need to speak with Sangoma, or I was talking and you said, we need to meet. You just told me we needed to meet. And at the time I had just, a few months before I had filed litigation to have custody, or at least visitation with my daughter. At the time I had no time with her. There was no space or no room for her being able to have her in my life. It was her mother just wasn't working in any capacity for that. And we met, it was during lunch, and that day we started conversations with my ancestors in conjunction with your ancestors, in terms of beginning little did I know at the time, a spiritual journey that was a evolution, personal growth, spiritual growth of who I was, who I am, who I'm becoming as a person. And that's been an ongoing process of learning about myself on more and more subtler levels, and my relationship with those that have gone before me in my ancestral lineage. And you've been there, as you've used this term a number of times, a spiritual midwife, of helping me understand and see things that I don't see on my own. And as a way of coaching me, guiding me, mentoring me with the help of my ancestors and your ancestors, to essentially help me see where my blind spots are in my life, in my thoughts, in my emotions, how I show up in the world. And what has been most significant is your ability to break it down into bite-sized chunks that allow me to feel empowered and move me forward at the same time. And this morning we had a conversation about the iceberg. And the iceberg is, I may back up a little bit. Through conversations with my ancestors and your guidance, I was led to do a vision quest earlier this year in the Asheville, North Carolina area. And on that vision quest, one of my intentions of that vision quest was to heal the ancestral trauma, or the disconnect between males and females in my family lineage. How males disempowered females, and how females undermine the power of the males in my family. So it was this reciprocal breaking down of removing power from the other one. And that has been an ongoing conversation that we have had with support of the ancestors to identify where are those gaps, where is that breakdown happening. And as those women in my life came forward as a result of stating that intention during the vision quest, each one of the relationships that have presented in my life since that vision quest in the spring has been a further evolution along a continuum to continue to heal that ancestral trauma. They're another lesson along that line of how it's almost like mile markers of how far I've come and the new lessons that are presented, the different challenges that are presented in terms of a mirror to what's going on in my being that allows me to work at and look at where my blind spots are. And you've been there to illuminate those blind spots in a way, as I mentioned before, to put it in bite-sized chunks. Most recently has been constructing letters to my mother and my sisters, who I've been estranged from for several years, and with the knowledge and that my father has been diagnosed with cancer, it's all a divine orchestration of the ancestors to bring this healing to take place between the males and females of my family. And our conversation this morning was around this place where the words and the languaging I was unable to access in constructing those letters, because I've never had the languaging before. I was never taught that languaging, that environment for me to learn how to feel safe enough to express myself in a way where it's not judged or belittled or ridiculed, was never cultivated when I was growing up. So my mother and sisters have never heard my authentic voice.
There's that.
And we had a call about a week and a half ago where you pointed out all of these things for me, a direction that I needed to go, and it was very obscure in terms of getting my mind around it, getting my emotions around what exactly you were describing to me. Is the tone, the language, the emotions that were to be accessed in order to write the letter to the capacity that I'm able to, as the type of man, the type of father that I'm becoming.
Sure.
And you've been giving me tools, little baby steps that I can. I got to show up and do. I need to show up and do those things, and in the process of showing up and doing those things, which one of them was you wrote the letter for me, but that's not the letter I'm to send. That's a letter as an example of the type of language to use. And in the recognition of some of the words and the sentences that you were using in what you wrote, in reading that, there were parts of me that began to relax, that began to calm and dissipate fear in myself about how to construct my own letter. There was the interview that the Oprah did with Gary Zukav, the author of Seed of the Soul, and that was another task. Watch that video, watch that interview twice. Take notes. You know, so it's like it doesn't seem like much, and for many people, it was like, okay, well, that isn't that big of a deal. I'm not going to. However, the more I've listened to what you have said, the ancestors have said, what they've indicated I need to show up and do, those little baby steps, it moves me incrementally closer to that person that I'm becoming.
Ashe.
And in the process, that iceberg that we were referring to at the beginning is starting to melt, and little chunks are starting to fall off and fall away. And it was 10 days ago, I couldn't even wrap my brain around the type of languaging that you were referring to. And 10 days later, after doing those baby steps and continuing to do the rituals that I do every day, of attending the altars, the ancestral altars that I have, it has continued to move me to a place where now I can start to access those emotions of betrayal and hurt and anger and fear and all of those things that now I'm beginning to process those in a way where it brings me more able to be fully present for myself, for my daughter, for my family, for my friends, for my business. So it's been quite a process.
A day full of giving thanks. My heart is so moved, it's like swelling out of my body. I have so much thanks and gratitude for the words you've spoken and for sharing with us. If it only be for the fact which we always say in conversation, I'm really glad this is recorded. If for no more than the fact that I too get to listen to your inner tracking on your way into authenticity. Because, you know, there's the parts where I could really try to answer people who ask, well, what do you do? Well, you know, how do you, and you know, this is my problem, and, you know, and I could never give it the type of illumination that in the last maybe 15, 20 minutes that you've given to the human process that is up for all of us when we look at the level of anger and fire and hate and rage, that it had to go somewhere. We continue to say, you know, our history is what it is, and as you have found out very personally, you know, these ancestral traumas and things they're going to have to be settled. They don't get settled just because people's bodies are cut down from trees or dragged into the woods or buried. It doesn't happen that easily because that's just the corpse. And the energy which is transforming into the spirit world that so many now wish to be connected to in a deeper way, well, as you said, it's been a work. It's quite a navigation. And you can't fly in there, and there's really no fast car. You do have to do it in little baby steps, and we're so thankful for the covenants between your ancestors and mine that they've allowed us to really thread the ropes of our relationship in such a way that our hearts hear one another, and because that's what a spiritual midwife has to do, and I say it so that people can get a grip on that particular term. Well, yeah, midwives go to the births of babies, but never to be confused. The midwife at no time has the baby. She does not give birth. She is simply present for the birthing of the baby in full support the mother who is birthing the baby. And so as we are in this really, really deep time, and we know that Hood Mystic is there on 614, I think it is, and I've been instructed if you'll just press 1, then your mic is already open to speak. And I thought, what could I even give in return, Bill, for you sharing, really? That's very personal, but also very crucial to the time of this particular full moon and people's opportunity to, just pick up that next level of bravery or courage or whatever your words have inspired for them this evening, to really dig deep, do the deep dive. And we all have to do it from time to time. And where we are in the world at this point, and I say the universe as we call in the movements of the celestial beings, you just can't stuff it under the rug anymore. There's no more shoving it in the back of the closet. Up, and each of us would do well to be very face-to-face with whatever ugly is present inside of us, or as Baba wonderfully played at the beginning, at the top of the show, really look into the extra baggage that we're carrying around and why we're still carrying it. It's so painful, it's so heavy, and it's so not useful. And so we would just do well to look around our lives and let go of the baggage that we no longer need to carry. And that is not at all to make light of your process, but it is to then just really congratulate you. And if I were there, I would hug you and say, you, sir, have gotten into the old dusty baggage in the closet and unpacked it and are literally getting rid of the baggage that you no longer need to carry. And it certainly doesn't need to be carried by your daughter. And that's what would have happened had you not taken this bull by the horn. So we're just so excited. We're going to reach out and see if Hood Mystic is there, simply because this would be a really good place for you to come in, and you can, if your mic is open, to say good evening to the Hey, Alafia.
Hey, peace.
Mm-hmm. Did you have a wonderful family day?
Of course, yeah, I did.
Yes, thanks.
Indeed.
One of those
things that we've made.
Were you able to hear Bill's story?
Yeah, I was listening. Yeah, I've been listening since now. Very powerful testimony, spiritual midwife. Something that I can definitely relate to, being that we just had a child, and a lot of people don't know the difference between, having a doctor deliver a child versus a midwife having a child, where a doctor, his allegiance is to the hospital, the midwife's allegiance is to the mother having the child. So it's very important for women to come into that realization, especially making that decision. It's an option that I think women should definitely look into, families should definitely look into, because I was unaware personally, and the support that my wife got from the midwife was tremendous, as opposed to, my previous 2 children were birthed by doctors in completely different vibration. So
completely.
Yeah, completely different vibration.
And it hits that place where Bill was speaking, and that's why I wanted you to just jump right in here, because what you are speaking to, no doubt, is the difference between a place on our journey through life where we are, actually, we give permission. We can't say anybody held a gun to our head. We give permission and give our power over. And that would be the place in the hospital where doctors, fit in the birth of a baby between golf games. And the other side of that, which is the power of a holy, sacred act of birth, is fully supported and has an attendant called a midwife. And so those are distinctly different, absolutely. absolutely, and absolutely different on the life and the nature of the child. You know, and yes, indeed, we've seen, you know, of course, we have 12 grandchildren, and powerful births for every single one of them, in hospitals, not in hospitals, and other babies that we know born underwater at home, and the difference.
It's different. It's just different how a child is conceived.
Yes, absolutely.
Very different.
But we wanted to ask you, because you're such a super wizard mystic, that as we were listening to Bill, as we were listening to Bill's story, I thought, because, you know, I don't believe in accidents or coincidences, and that this particular breakthrough came through, or these particular things and actions and responses and emotions and feelings all came to the intersection for Bill in this case, but we know for all of us. I was wondering, just wondering, what about, I mean, I can see it clearly if I was going to look at the top level of the question I'm asking you. It's how is this duality, this presence of Gemini in the fullness of this moon, really pulling up for us? I got the card, the Dragon's Duel, for this week, and I completely understood it, that, you know, the tug of war was between, you know, the good dragon, bad dragon, dark dragon, light dragon, however you want to look at that. And in Bill's story, his resolution of duality between the iceberg Bill that has lived, came up from a child, seriously on what we're talking about here, how you are raised, what is the environment you take in, and conversations had or not, and then how that would grow you to walk in this place that just has not reached deep in a warm, nice fire of authenticity in the core about being. So if there was anything that you would want to say to all of us, and to Bill in particular, as an Aries, moving through this Gemini full moon, about that, about what we're doing here, if we're paying attention and showing up for ourselves in order to really reach resolution in our duality.
Great. Powerful question. Words resonated very deeply. I appreciate that question. So what I would say is we would have to peel back the layer through time, first and foremost. We would have to go back, because what we're speaking on Gemini, and ultimately that's a word that takes away from the energy, and even duality, that's a word that takes away from the energy. Even if we go deeper into duality, we deal with the life for which we were given, you know, this moment in time, this transient, you know, moment that we call life, and we have an opportunity, right? But within that life is what they call death or transition, meaning that we all are here for a time. So with that life is death. They come hand in hand. And that's Gemini. You know, that's why it's so full of anxiety. That's why it's so full of darkness. That's why it's so full of, you know, you know, Gemini gets a bad rap. Gemini people get a bad rap because, you know, it is the reality, right? Gemini, you don't get, and people don't like to deal with the reality. They like to go to sleep when it's nighttime and wake up when it's day. But the reality is that you're alive when it's night, you're alive when it's day, and you don't have to sleep at night. You can sleep at day. It's all however you want to be. You know, a lot of us have lives where we were functioning at night and sleeping at day. And that's just because whoever or whatever or however this earth was created, it was created with a principle of night and day, illumination, darkness. And it does, and where we need to get is finding that balance of understanding both, as opposed to thinking that just staying in the illumination and sleeping in the darkness is going to make our lives okay, because we simply see the light or we don't see the light, or, vice versa. It's just like the yin and yang, the twin energy pervades every thought structure moving forward. So everything is dualistic from this point. If we can't backtrack, though, and pinpoint the reality that your darkness creates your light, and your light somewhat is a reminder that you came from darkness. And so if we can understand that and balance and figure out that balance in this present moment, we understand Gemini. And so much of our lives, trauma, anxiety, pain, journey is relieved. And I've put up YouTube videos in this topic, and never have I had a video blocked, and things of that nature, where I've had to re-upload this video maybe 5 times,
Right.
just to get it on YouTube, just to get it to where people could listen to it. And then also I have a full moon guided meditation speaking to this energy even deeper. So where we try to get guidance or in tune with the soul and trying to really level up spiritually, and we want to go places and do things, dealing with Gemini energy is actually that programming. And then that realization that, hey, we are going to get there because we do have the twin. You know what I'm saying? We do have that opposing energy. For my human self, the opposing energy to my human self is my soul side, which is something that is extremely powerful that we could tap into and deal with, or not. Because the reality of Gemini in darkness is the ignoring of that soul side. And that's why I get so much of a bad rap, because the soul side is going to influence you in ways maybe counterintuitive to everything that you've been doing on the human side. And so,
right, would you
if
say
we
it's
want to
that
listen,
place? Yeah, I'm just thinking like that really like hit a gong. Like, okay, so that what you're speaking of right now is that place of inner conflict, because people might be hearing you and say, oh, I'm not a Gemini. Oh. And what he's saying, it doesn't really matter to me, but in each of us, between our masculine and our feminine, or our dark and our light, or our shadow self, or the soul self, as you have just said, is the potential and more than not for conflict. Because, we did a prayer earlier today where give thanks the Yoruba speak to raising up the energy of our heavenly head in union and absolute collaboration and alignment with our earthly head. Because if those two parts of ourselves are pulling against one another or just grappling to get to the middle where they're joined, that's a problem. And so whether society labels that problem as schizophrenic, bipolar, whatever it is, what we see now is much of what Bill's story led us to, which is if you are on a journey, and from what I've heard listening to the various full moon reports, this is absolutely it. The journey is into the authentic self, that place where we are at peace, inner peace, and being in, walking in, and speaking our truth as much as we can moving forward through this time. And so I'm gonna leave that out there as we have just wonderful evolutions of the way this 2 hours is going. We wanted to give light to Jonathan Santos because we didn't want to present, so to speak, all of these real challenging parts over here in the negative without speaking to an absolute light that this young man, for those who aren't familiar with Santo's soul, or changing the world by changing me, or if you just haven't heard of him in the Asheville area, we have been wanting to bring him into Ringing Stone, and are thankful that he took the time to call in with us this evening. And we're going to allow all of us to take a breathing moment while we take in some of Santo's soul's light. We're prepared with a wonderful song that'll give us a pause, and then we'll come back to the Hood Mystic. Bill, you're certainly welcome to hang on and stay in there, and we're just going to move forward and see where we go before 11 o'clock. So with that, the introduction to Jonathan Santos.
Foolish love, stay the hell away from me. My commas turning around. I've been working on me. Be a love of patience, sweet and kind, the type of love that I want and need in my life. And don't you come early, send me a kiss, letting me know you're real. We'll play chase, take our time, fly through the air just like dragonflies, right for every occasion, stitched in time, woven by destiny, a love that's tailor-made to me. Custom fit, stitch by stitch, a love that's tailor-made for me. A love that's tailor-made, 100%. Won't break in the wires, permanently pressed all over the inside of my heart. There may be some phrase, love, we won't stray. Old school, vintage, classic with members only. And even through the hard times, we'll be alright. We got enough friendship secured on the inside of our pockets. Made in heaven, will last through hell. Why not start a small tribe, cut from the same material, right for every occasion, stitched in time, woven by destiny, a love that's tailor-made to me. Custom fit, stitch by stitch, a love that's tailor-made to me. Yeah, your love is tailor-made, summer or spring, winter or fall, double take, stopping traffic light. Oh my God, it's love to button you up and unzip you slow, fit your body like your favorite material. I need a love to stimulate all of my heart and mind. Got my neurons firing, double time. My amethyst angel, my rising phoenix, souls woven in harmony. We make it look so seamless, yeah. Right for every occasion, stitched in time, woven by destiny, yeah. A love that's tailor-made to me. Custom fit, stitch by stitch, a love that's tailor-made to me. Yeah, your love is tailor-made. Listen, a love that's spiritual, a love so natural and cultural too. And yes, she's so comfortable. Love wrapped in a kimono, tuxedo, or maybe in some lingerie, boxes or house shoes. There's a love tailor-made just for you and me. Oh, yeah. love is tailor-made. You can't find this, no, you can't buy nothing like this. This one right here, it's just for me. Yeah. Ooh. Custom fit, got my initials engraved all on it. This is mine. This is mine. There's one for you, but it's your love tailor-made for me.
Extended remix. Awesome, awesome. Wow, powerful. We felt like that had to be the introduction song, and I know you probably cringed through hearing it, Santos, but yeah, you did. Yeah, you did. I could feel it all the way over here. You're like, why did you choose that one? Well, you know the backstory to that one. And here we are in a full moon in Gemini, and it fit for every occasion, beloved. Stitched in time, man. The words, I think, over and above, and the good news for everyone listening is it could be your holiday gift for anyone to get an actually really good copy of that, where you could play it and hear it at a quality much better than you heard it on Ringing Stone tonight. But yeah, that seals it for me. How are you, sir? How's this full moon in your world, in your part of the world?
So, am I live right now? Am I with you?
You are live right now.
Oh, this is hilarious.
It's all being heard.
Alafia.
Alafia.
Alafia to you and to all the ancestors, everybody on the line in the room. Peace.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, be welcomed. And you've been such an amazing inspiration. I thought of it as one of your tunes is now at the end of our storytelling CD or our prayer CD that's about to come out. And, just to hear it always, whether it's the lyrics or just the beautiful divine instrument and voice that you've been given to gift us with to so articulate some things that if you weren't on the line earlier, we had an amazingly powerful story from our friend Bill Paravano in terms of breaking down the mechanics of how you access emotions that maybe are totally unfamiliar territory, new territory, as Star Trek said, out where, no man has gone before. And your songs do that for me. You may wonder why I'm always so stuck on the songs of changing the world by changing me, but really it remains to be a gift to me in all the words. And you could either speak to that or new music that you're going to, or we definitely want to hear about Glocal Soul edutainment. Please inform the Ringing Stone community of that in particular, because I just, I looked at it again as I was writing it today, and I said, we might even have to break that down for people, globally, locally, so education and entertainment, so that one could even encompass, the wide range of gifts that you bring to community, to music, to young people in particular. You're like a Pied Piper, and an amazing custodian of the ancestors in just that one tune that you've sung on many different occasions in many different places, only a few of which I've had the opportunity to see how well received it is for people to really become a part of the ancestor song. So that seems like a great place to open the conversation. How does that feel for you? I've never really even got to ask you. How does that really feel for you to have a song in particular that you know for a fact every human in the room can relate to? There's no question about it.
Such a grand setup.
Well, yeah, speaking to ancestors in that song, it's a huge responsibility. It's a huge responsibility. I'm sitting here with my ancestors. I didn't really make it out to see family today, and just moving. I guess a lot of people in my immediate community have been sitting with grief, sitting with physical challenges, and yeah, you know, music is definitely a shifter, a vibe shifter, physiologically, you know, a physiological level, on a spiritual level, on a mental, emotional level. And so with the song Ancestors, I think I wrote it, I think at the time I was going, Queen Afua was writing a book, Man Heal Thyself, and I was composing it around that time, and I got to share it with her, and I think she listened to some of the music and writing their books. That was a really cool experience. But that song, like a lot of others, is my own personal healing, and then the intention is that it holds healing space for others. And so, you know, when you step into a room and you invite everybody to call on their ancestors in a casual setting, that like increases the gravity by like 10,000. You know, where everybody's you know, inviting people to think about loved ones that are on the other side, think about their virtues, their characters, their values that were taught and passed down, you know, generationally. When the audience gets it, when the listeners get it, it can be a lot of fun. And when people don't get it, it's still planting subconscious seeds.
One way or another, with children or with older people, either way, you know, they either get it in the moment or it arrives in the aha moment, whenever that is for them. That's kind of what we know, planting seeds. True indeed. So tell us a little bit about Glocal Soul Edutainment. I definitely want to get that in, because once we get really deep into the hood mystic level and what we can do with what you're about to say, and all of us in terms of our intentions or our goals or a container that we're holding of energy that we want to co-create with others towards this better world that we know is possible. And that's how Glocal Soul, you know, kind of hits me. It's like, yeah, if we could get right in here in the soul of this. And because so many of us are, I guess, distracted by just sheer entertainment. And some of us live locally but not globally. So how does Glocal Soul Edutainment embody that? What are some of the things or ways in which that shows up in community?
Well, Glocal Soul is an organization that I founded, a business, and essentially it's globally minded, locally rooted, and powered by soul. And so, you know, knowing that we're all interconnected, everybody on the planet is interconnected, and still so many people struggle in isolation, and so many people are striving for archetypes and concepts to study certain things, to apprentice certain paths in life that aren't aligned with who they are and what they truly desire. And so as a platform that is entertainment with an educational focus, cultural empowerment, inspiration, it's getting people to identify what's really alive for them. What are they truly passionate about? What skills do they incarnate with, their innate abilities, and then looking at where they are right now in life and seeing how they can line up with where they are, with where they want to be, and you know, highlight some, you know, what's that intrinsic motivation? What's that soul power? What's really moving them forward? And that could be trauma-based, or that could be, aspirations and dreams or visions. And so interweaving that through arts-based education and performances in schools, K through college, just having some experiences to take some of the songs and the music and write those into curriculum and exercises, and taking that into the elementary, the middle, the high, and the collegiate level, and, professional development level, and just working with people wherever they're at, because it's not necessarily about chronological age, but more so, where your soul is. And, I find creative ways of saying that, because not every container is ready, for me to come at that level, in that language. But however I can get in with it, it's beautiful. It's essentially just, bringing culture to these very sterilized systems that don't really serve, our growth and our learning. So that's essentially globally minded, locally rooted, powered by soul, edutainment. That's what it is.
Awesome. And I think you spoke to me. I'm not going to put it out there too if you're not ready, but you spoke about some things coming towards the winter solstice. And before I just really switch over, and I want you to be thinking, because I don't want to put you on the spot. You say, oh, yeah, you put me on the spot. But we do have Hood Mystic over there. And so as you go forward towards, personally and musically, towards the winter solstice and into the winter, the season of Abaluaye, waning now, and I'm sure Mystic will tell us where we're waning to from this Gemini full moon, what is the new moon in December, we're waning to. What are your goals? Again, wave your magic wand and tell us how you would love for Glocal Soul to show up in 2019. What are you thinking, or are you just getting toward the winter solstice, Kwanzaa, and again, just more connectedness, I guess, at a time when people are so disconnected, to just be fully present in making those connections?
Yes, you put me on the spot here.
Yeah,
but I'm really excited. I'm really looking forward to hearing the brother, the Hood Mystic, kind of forecast and analysis. I really, really appreciated the part of Bill's sharing and your grace and how you weave it all together. I guess right now, just speaking on this, raised by Gemini, so not quite having so much experience with this Gemini energy. And also feeling so clueless, like, man, how is it so close to me? And I still, I can't put my finger on it. So just hearing about, I guess I interpreted the soul side. I don't even want to mess it up, but it really runs really deeply for me, the soul side, and how we, I guess, handle that, illuminate that, that producing our light, or how we show up. I want to hear more from that. So I just wanted to give that personal piece of how excited I am to be here and hear all these things. With Glocal Soul, again, I guess my background, growing up, originally, born in New York City, growing up most primarily in Japan, graduating high school in Japan, with a single mother that valued travel. So we traveled a lot, and then being blessed to attend lots of international conferences and circles, having to speak on behalf of the Black experience, or the Black male experience, was always daunting, and me wanting always to bring my community and bring culture and bring everyone I was connected to with me, so that I wouldn't be in isolation trying to hold such a big voice. And so I'm really excited. Glocal Soul, waving the wand and also working the plan and working the seeds that have been planted. Just looking to reconnect to a lot more colleges and universities, just to really shed some light on that level. But on a personal tip, I'll be traveling to Korea and Japan in the spring, and really excited about that because that, a lot of us are in culture deserts, in which we don't get, we're not around programming that affirms us. We're not in community that affirms us. And that was very much my experience overseas, which is crazy, but it was very much a state of mind, when you have young people that are subscribing to what they see on Snapchat, to what they see on the internet, on YouTube. And so that is the world that exists for them. But when they get to meet a real life person and they get to bring tools and music and have conversations and just really talk to people on a human level, they get to say, okay, hey, there's more to life than, what our celebrities are showing us, what is being contrived. And also they get to be present with where they are. And so I know that there are so many youth that don't get to really fully experience where they are when you talk to people that grew up maybe on this side of town and the whole world celebrates their city for, whatever the case may be, the view or the culture. And so many people don't get a chance to take advantage of that. And so just being able to, for me, go back home, so to speak, to Japan and Korea and just really connect communities and all the people that I've connected to here with that community there, and really just come from the heart, and then just hopefully I connect and just inspire the young people to do so much more with where they are, bloom where you planted, so to speak, because individually we need that, but as a community we need our cultural leaders, our cultural diplomats. We need people to make authentic connections, yes, through culture, through tradition, but through commerce, empowering ourselves financially. So, that's up for Glocal Soul. As that move is happening, there's some university work lined up, looking to continue to go deeper into the community here in Asheville, North Carolina, and in the Piedmont areas where I'm based, all throughout North Carolina. So just continue to look to unite cultural workers, cultural organizers, and artists. Is really resonating with the midwife, the spiritual midwifery, and just really present with the integrity that one must hold in order to be that, to hold that role, and just watching something, supporting someone, giving yourself to birth. Not birthing.
Right. Standing on the sidelines, so to speak. Yes, it's an interesting walk, definitely an interesting walk. We're so glad to have you speak to that and to do that work. There are those of us that are indeed challenged to face 2019 in America, in these states, not quite yet united. And so we just want to say from all of the kindred of Sangoma, many of whom love and adore your work as I do, blessings and light on your road in building international bridges. They're needed. We said that again today on the teaching CD. One band, one sound, one tribe, one love. Eventually, we are going to be able to more fully embody the diversity of ourselves as a family of humanity. And we're just so grateful to have your presence and your work and your music with us. As we just turn just slightly, and we're going to say we just got to get this full moon report in here from the Hood Mystic, and for him to bring to us, having heard a number of corners in the Ring Your Stone community this evening, that which we should really know about the energy that we literally are waxing to. I understand that most astrologers get their right past midnight tomorrow into the 23rd. And so, yes, Hood, please bless us, grace us with the wisdom of
I'm excited.
particular energy. Yeah, try. Give it a shot.
Yeah. So, just want to say peace, brother, and peace, everybody that's listening. Oh, this is very, very poignant, and I think it really would speak to what you're going through as, Global Soul makes its transition into 2019 and what that could represent and what that looks like, dealing with a Gemini energy, Gemini matriarch, and not being able to fully understand it. Very much relatable in some sense. But this is what we need to understand about Gemini, to where it's not confusing, to where it's not coming across as like something crazy. It's very simple, actually. You have a voice. You have a voice that you project, and if you were to do careful examination of, where that voice came from, what's actually the points and inflections and nerves and, things that the chords that you're striking in other souls and other beings. Like, what is that coming from? Like, what is the root of that? The understanding of this energy, the understanding of revolutionary energy is found in Gemini. Whether you're talking about Tupac Shakur, whether you're talking about Che Guevara, whether you're talking about John F. Kennedy, whether you're talking about Donald Trump, you're talking about revolution, you're talking about schism, you're talking about waking up something inside of you that's coming from your ancestors. And then the realization of ancestors is that there were ancestors who had other ancestors that lost in battle, right? And so those ancestors that lost in battle, they still ancestors to the person who's, whatever the case may be, there are ancestors on both sides. So when people speak, they're speaking from their ancestral voices. And just so happen that ancestral voice might be, a evil and vile one. But ultimately, in 2019, moving forward, what we're moving to, we've been having these new moons at the 15-degree mark of constellations like dead in the center. So this one is no different. We go from a new moon in Sagittarius, and then we have a new moon in Capricorn. But that new moon in Capricorn is going to be a solar eclipse. So that's something that we got to really prepare for, coming off of, this new moon. I just want to say this new moon coming up that's in Sagittarius is going to be square Mars and Neptune in Pisces. And, Mars and Neptune are going to be conjunct exact at 13 degrees. And the sun and the moon is going to be exact at 15 degrees. And this energy is going to be square. So what that initially preliminary saying to me is that who are you fighting for? And if you are fighting for somebody, and if your path is inclusive to a host of beings, a whole tribe, a whole army of children that need some guidance or need a beacon to look up to, that could be you. Like we say, there's light and dark to all astrological placements. So we can go into this 2019 like it's all about me. It's all about my personal success. I'm going to do it for me this time, et cetera, et cetera. Or show up that, the darkness, is just the light and the dark. But if we are able to realize that, man, we got a whole army, seen and unseen. And the only way that they live is through our voice and our actions. And you should be putting yourself in positions to use your voice, and you should be acting out the way that the ancestors would want you to act out, And from there, that's security, that's protection, That's integrity, And from there, we don't have much to worry about, because if we were to kind of take a step back and realize the guidance of the ancestors thus far, we would realize that it'd been easier if we'd have just fell back and listened to the ancestors a long time ago. It's from the jumpy jump. And so, the realization is that we did not do that, and we know exactly how to navigate moving forward. If we haven't been cognizant of a new moon in Sagittarius before, let us be fully cognizant of a new moon in Sagittarius this time around. Feel me?
Yeah, absolutely. Something caught my eye, as I say, I prepare for you whenever we come to this juncture. And in my taking in various astrological reports, something caught my attention in terms of 4 or 5 planets that are for 5 planets moving into the signs that they rule. That caught my attention, and we might, want to speak to that a little bit as we bring it down really here into the ground. It's a huge conversation. I realize every time I do this, for us to be able to say, so what are we really saying? I mean, I don't really get the degrees, or people are not sure what conjunctions the squares are. Not everybody's into sacred geometry and can even have a reference point. But this is where we try to say, okay, well, let's just do the math. We know that Venus went back direct. Yeah, that's an awesome thing. And at the same time, Allegra went retrograde. You had to try and download 5 times. We barely got into Ringing Stone here this evening. And so, there's that. Yeah, there's that. But
I had to dial in from a different number. My original number wouldn't let me dial in today. We're definitely dealing with the level of, and I throw up the calculations, right? Because these are anomalies, right? Generally, we don't study the numbers, or we don't study the conjunctions and things of that nature, because they're not really applicable, because they're so random. But the idea of 15 degrees for a new moon is profound when you think of it being directly centered of where we need to be. And when we talk about Sagittarius, we're talking about a path. And so being centered on your path is ideal and anomalistic in the realms of astrology. Generally, I've been studying astrology for a while, and generally we get numbers. Just give us the number, 14, 17, 2. Very rarely do we have 13s and 15s play out the way that they play out so beautifully. Even now, as these last hours of Scorpio play out, you can feel the energy tense up more. And now as as it begins to be 12 a.m., we are transitioning out of that energy completely. So whatever we're feeling now, on the other side of this energy, we're going to be feeling different within hours, which is kind of, at least for the Eastern, board, on the Eastern side. But as far as this stellium that we're having this solar eclipse in Capricorn with 5 planets in Capricorn, happening. And what I want to point out to that solar eclipse, because that's a real time to set in major attention. But in order to get there, we should really start now and really understanding this path to Capricorn. And this realization and this kind of cuspal energy is something that I'm speaking to that will feel tomorrow. But as of now, we're still Scorpio's grips is very strong, very strong, and we're still in that energy, and we're moving out of it ever so slowly. In these, we get off this line at 11. We still have another hour to kind of really be prepared for illumination. And from that illumination, we'll know how to deal with this waxing energy, what we need to get rid of, what we need to focus on, and really move into this new moon in Sagittarius, which is going to be so powerful when it comes to families and groups and working together. Like you were saying about some projects that you were dropping. Like, this speaks to that energy so well. And I feel like these projects that you're dropping aren't solo projects. They sound like compilations.
Yeah.
Right.
They are.
So,
absolutely.
Yeah.
That's why we're called the kindred of Sangoma, because it's never the Sangoma show. It is always a compilation and a collaboration. That's the lead that we're trying to walk out of the isolation that Jonathan was speaking to. You know, a lot of us, you know, back there with Sai and Family Stone got in to do your own thing. It's your thing, you know, and we just really did. We embraced our individuality. Of course, that probably was, certainly not probably, it was, because that's the way it happened, as the Piscean era had to close out in order to make way for this era into Aquarius. But here's the thing, and this is just how much I love my my imagination, or whatever it is. Maybe it's that soul side you were talking about in Gemini. That as you were speaking, like, I got it. You know, the light bulb came on, and I went, oh, let's do the math. So here we are in the fullness of Gemini, the light and the dark, and where those two are going to merge. And of course, I see Sirius coming in, you know, the archer, aiming that bow, and right, we're going from the waxing where we peak here, and then as you just said to us, maybe drop in to a deep dive where it wanes. Okay, losing light, because that is the nature of waning into this new moon that you're speaking of in Sagittarius. And it is that opportunity, as should be if you're following the rhythms of the moon, to pull it in, but take aim. Look at what you're doing. You know, so at the same time, it's a beautiful, really visual that I have of how to harness this energy in the movement into winter, into the season of it. And, you know, Jonathan had a Gemini mother, I had a Capricorn mother, so 5 planets incorporated in Capricorn, I'm there, okay? And it tells the, you know, it tells the Piscean, you know, painter, dreamer, artist person, okay, where are your facts and figures? Where's your budget? You know, what are you going to do? But because when it comes to Capricorn, it's really about, you know, what are your resources? Where are your feet on the ground? This is real. This is winter. It's not going to, you know, turn around and wake up and be spring, you know, into the warm weather, and we'll do this. We have to push in this season.
This is a fact.
That's what it's about.
Can I say something? I would just like to say, you know, this energy that I speak to, the full moon in Gemini, realization that you have a voice, and that voice comes from ancestors. That voice comes from higher walks of celestial beings, you name it, mythology, archetypes, gods, goddesses, whatever, you know, just run the gamut. That's what your voice, the things that you say, comes from all of that, you know. And so my thing is, dealing with this Sagittarian new moon, walking us all the way up into this Capricorn solar eclipse, where we set the intention, right? And then the Cancer full moon lunar eclipse, right? Where that is a manifestation. I'm saying this because there may be a blockage to dreaming big for the individual, for the young man who's been dealing with heartache and trauma and hardship his whole life. And I'm like, you know, dream big. And he's like, I can't, you know. Or the woman who got 3 children and, you know, still trying to, like, check the check, scraping up rent money. And we're like, you know, dream big. And she like, I can't, you know. I want to reverse that, which is energy. This is the point. What I'm trying to speak to is like, we are in prime position to dream big if we're fully understanding our energy and where our energy is coming from, and not understanding Gemini is this reality that is just you, right? And not understanding that you have a twin soul and a twin flame, and the media or consciousness to say, it's some man walking the street or it's some woman is your twin flame. But I would say that your twin flame is your living soul. That's why you with your that man or woman might break up with you tomorrow and find something new. And that's just the reality, and that's okay. You know what I'm saying? But I want to talk about stuff that's not going to leave you or break up with you or make you feel like you less than. And your twin flame is your soul. And that's your Gemini energy. And if you can understand that, then you can understand walking down this Sagittarian path and ascending the mountain with so much support, right? 5 planets supporting you in Capricorn for a lunar eclipse, a solar eclipse, just for the mere fact of setting the intention. Like, you can dream big. You can dream big. You can set your intentions how you want to set your intentions. And what's the problem with us? What's the catch? What's bad?
That speaks to it.
And that's us.
I was going to say,
I just really want to be clear on that.
I hear you. For moving toward, I just want to get the dates right because I'm going to line it up, and I don't even really know what the date of that is. It's not in here. The full moon is in December, but like when you said it, I thought, as we are coming from Gemini, and then I think it's around the 16th of December that Alegba, Mercury, returns direct, and then we're harnessing in this energy, and give us the date, if you will, of the lunar eclipse. Is it the lunar eclipse or the solar eclipse that comes from?
The solar eclipse. Give me 1 second. I'll find out real quick.
Okay. Because that, this is again, a whole nother different 2 hours where we would speak about, how awake are we in the midst of, I always wonder at this time of the season where people are basically in there shopping and gift wrapping and all of those parts, and the ones who are not. They're doing something completely different. But it seems like a time, again, where we, it's almost right back to Bill's story, that ability to perceive even something that is around you, which is your bigger dream, and life and all of the beautiful signs and symbols and signals we get about how to dream bigger. It's kind of like, I always go back to the fish, the goldfish from the fish bowl that you pour into the bathtub and they still keep swimming in the same little circle. That inability to really just let loose. And what's the use of dreaming something that seems impossible? Well, follow the road. Exactly what you were saying about maybe learning a little more about Sagittarius, or actually picking up a bow and an arrow and making, I say I want time because we do it, out in the woods, and it is something I want to do with my grandson, because I think that it's holistic, okay, while your body, or your skills in your physical body, be learning how to aim the bow to that red dot target, your mind, your emotions, so many things are going together like, no, I'm not going over that way where there's no target at all. I'm headed that way. And I hope I get near the bullseye. And doing that with our relationships and our goals and our lives, but particularly with our dreams. So, you looked up that date, and it is?
Yeah, I did. January 6th is the solar eclipse. January 21st is the lunar eclipse. And I just want to say, this is something that I really want to say. I just want to really thank you for attuning the body. And I just really want to give you so much gratitude and so much thanks for that, because there are so many individuals who want to simply attune their words to spiritual talking and things of that nature with no action behind it. But you putting that action and body towards, the spiritual work is commendable, and much respect is due to you. I just wanted to say that.
I do play. It's great confirmation. You won't know until I send you your holiday gift, which is one of the CDs that we finished today, and it speaks exactly to that. In fact, the piece where we begin to go into prayers is prayer as an action word. Prayer as where we do connect, on this level, because it's not a mind game. It's not some, it's not some, two toilet paper holders between a piece of string that you think you have between here in the spirit world or here in your ancestors or here in God. It really goes hand in hand with what are your actions, what are your words that support what your intention inside, what you and I have been talking about now for at least 2 or 3 shows, is how do those intentions happen? How do we ground them? And what are the mechanics to moving them toward manifestation? And so thank you right back to you too, because this is why we feel that the connection to our larger selves, including the celestial bodies and their movement, and if we could just really understand the way things go around, that when you look at a birth chart with all those numbers and lines and you go, well, what is this supposed to mean? Well, think about it. If you could just, put pennies or coins on the table and all the positions that the planets were, and try and harness yourself to you came in right here. There's where you are. Where are you in the scope of it? Then we begin to get, bigger than our dreams, bigger than whatever, the big screen TVs or, whatever. It's such a huge proposition, being citizens of the earth. And we seem to be awfully distracted, but I'm glad to know, I haven't lost any of your points, that that's the way we're kicking off 2019, is that January 6th is coming, one eclipse, and then at the end of January, and I think it's been that way the last couple of years, that we've come in right on full moon, and then had another full moon before January even left out. That might happen this year or last year. And again, very powerful energy. So I'm just saying, people heed the words Mystic is saying about we would do ourselves well to begin now to consider the journey between here and January. Easily.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. You can only benefit yourself by factoring the ability to dream as big as you possibly can in all realms of life and getting yourself together. And then if I'm saying you got the opportunity to dream big, and you say, well, any type of blocks to you dreaming big, right? Like, well, what if X, Y, Z? Then okay, you know exactly what we need to work on, because here it is, a celestial opportunity for anybody who's paying attention to really ascend, and you got blocks. And that's okay. And that's the whole point of having these conversations, is to figure out, okay, where am I not as confident as where I need to be? It would be a question like, I can't speak, or I'm not a good speaker. And then I said, well, do your ancestors feel like you're not a good speaker? It's just, or is that just something that you're saying to keep you out of the space from where your ancestors need you to be? I don't feel like our ancestors give us limits. I know for a fact that we put limits on ourselves, and we don't allow, the ancestors to really speak through us, and that's really embodying Gemini energy, for sure, and really seeing how this voice can actually take us. We don't know until we put in the actual energy, until we actually walk through the path. Right? Like, we would never know who we gonna be or what we gonna do if we don't actually aim and shoot. Like, we don't know if we're gonna hit the bullseye or not. And so don't let that be the reason for you not taking a shot, So very, very, very powerful energy moving forward.
You know, and it brings me back to Bill's story at the beginning, and I'm saying this now because we have found in Ringing the Stone Network that the number of people who actually hear this program quadruples by between here and Wednesday of next week, because it just passes around your channel, my channel, and just passes around and people get to hear it. So this is the moment where I would connect what you just said to really hearing Bill's story. I mean, I can hear it, but along with Bill, I lived a good part of it. And to say that moving forward, if one will just ask a really hard question about their trips and falls and the places that you spoke of that seem blocked, or you're stuck, or you cannot dream past that, you cannot see past that, well, goodness, that's a blind spot. Okay then. And just recognize it, acknowledge it, say, well, I was moving forward so and so, but then, I don't know, something, the bottom fell out. I don't know how I got lost and over here. That's the blind spot. And whether your emotions trigger you into it, or past traumas from your childhood trigger you into it, I mean, we live in a world where people are triggered by any and everything at this point. And I think a lot of what you bring in your daily energy, videos, and certainly what people are learning about, because again, this is a way big learning curve for a lot of people who are doing just that. They're connecting their humanness with their divinity. They are recognizing the divinity in a human experience, and that's new territory for a bunch of people that have read books on it, and as you said, you know, may speak to it, know the words for the spiritual talk and all like that, but they don't really have the mechanics to do it. And so what good is it if you don't have the filter and the new oil and all like that, but you're going out to make an oil change in the car? Well, it's probably not going to happen if you don't have any tools. And so in our teachings through the winter and the season of the raven coming up, this is we named it. I don't even have to do the commercial now, because what you and I have been talking about is everyone's recognition at the very least. Recognition, awareness, consciousness, whatever word you want to put on that. For what tools do you have moving forward to hold you steady to your center through the winter, the weather challenges, money challenges, you know, the holidays, and whether or not you're always in bouts of depression. I mean, there are so many things, and so there's got to be another little twinkle in there. I feel it in my soul that we haven't got to. I'm holding those 5 planets in Capricorn to support us. But what else have we got going on out there, Mystic, that really, as we...
I have something for you.
Okay, great, Baba. What you got?
Yeah, Peace. You mentioned tools. I just want to let the family know that on the 6th, we're going to do the tools for the new moon and extend it into the full moon. And so on the 6th at 9 p.m., family, we're going to bring in 8 magical people. So we're going to bring Hood Mystic is going to kick the show off. Sister Myra from Miami, she's going to come second. Then we're going to have Sekou from Spinks Paul's store in Columbia, South Carolina. Everybody knows Nikki Love of New York, Atlanta. She's going to kick. After that, we're going to bring in King Carew. He's a successful store owner in Columbia, South Carolina. We have Sister Sagomi coming in. We have Rising Lily that has her show, and she does Oregon. She's coming in, and maybe yours truly, Husiko. I may give something, but I probably won't, because the thing we're trying to do, family, is let these people give you just the instruments that they work with. So we're going to give you the tools, and those tools should carry through the full moon, but all of these people are successful, and they're successful business owners, and they're successful entrepreneurs, and they work with magic. And so then the information you're going to get on the 6th, you can take to the 22nd, but you can also take to those annual equinox and the annual eclipses too. So, you know, and so definitely look forward to the 6th. And then again in December, and you know, you have the full moon thing, but also maybe, I think the 13th being lesser lovers are going to try to do something too in terms of the science of the eclipses and why we have the eclipse. I'm on, okay. So yeah, and that's, I'm Brother Yusiku, I'm signing out. My daughter just called me and she's going to interrupt me. So anyway, on December 6th at 9 p.m. Peace.
Oh, peace. Well, there it is. I felt it in my soul, and I had forgotten we had discussed that program. And yeah, that's key, you know, to just, because it's quick. It's like normally if you come into Ringing Stone, like sometimes we have scientists, astrologers like we do tonight, and just to have an array of 8 magical people is awesome, because you have each tool that'll be explained and how they use it, and how, you know, it may